Welcome everybody to Cologne, not really in Cologne. It's beautiful sunshine outside and it's a pity that you can't make it here. It's a wonderful city. It's terrible cycling, but the rest is good. Beer is good, weather is good. Gabi invited me to tell a bit about Agora Köln and Tag des Guten Lebens. You might already know a bit about Agora Köln because I think you've been working with Gabi now for quite some time. But yes, I've been with Agora since 2012, actually, since the very, very early beginning. And happy to tell the story and to tell a bit about how we tell stories. Would be interesting then to get also some feedback, reflection from you, what you think on this. So, what are we as Agora Köln? We are a civil society and citizen network. Something on the title, how to tell stories about possibilities. So the challenge that I think we have in storytelling about Agora is that, and the Tag des Guten Lebens is that we are not making a very clear promise to people what they're going to experience. But we try to tell them about this project in a way that they can imagine what they could do with the project, what the possibilities are that exists once they embark and once they get into the project and hop on this, without actually telling them what this will be, definitely. I hope this will become a bit clearer when I talk about the project itself. So we're Agora Köln. We are a civil society citizen network. It's very bottom up, so we were not started by the city or some association or some foundation. It was just people coming together, joining forces and agreeing that things should run different in Cologne. Sustainability is the big headline, is climate change, the mobility revolution, trying to change urban space, but it's also a lot about participation of citizens in the city and about transparency of decision making. We have members, both organizations that support Agora by giving rooms or communication channels and all this, but particularly individuals that use Agora as a platform to pursue projects and work on these kinds of. Agora is Greek. As I was told, the marketplace where culture, art, politics and economics meet. So it's supposed to be a space where these forces in the city negotiate amongst themselves and experience and shape the future of the community. We have a lighthouse project that kind of symbolizes what we aim for and that we use to create awareness for us as an organization and for the issues that we pursue. This is the Day of the Good Life. It's now taken place from 2013 to 2020, this year obviously in a different way. At the core, it's a car-free Sunday, but it's also a month-long process, like 1.5 years, if it's good, to prepare this car-free day in the neighborhood. Above you see the empty streets. That must be like 8 in the morning. So this is the possibility space that we offer to people that they can take over for one day and that they can shape for one day. It's a logistic effort. So there you see our logistic guys and the fireworker truck in the background. So it's not that we're just doing theory, talking about sustainability, but we create a real physical space. We're really physically pushing out about 700, 800 cars. It's 20 to 30 streets. It's tons of material that is distributed to make this possible for this day. And to get from theory to practice and get really into the lives of people and to the places where people live. I said it's a process. It's about 1 year process where we select a new neighborhood. We select the new neighborhood with the people in the neighborhood. So we start a dialogue with people that identify with the neighborhood, that live there, work there, speak for the neighborhood. We bring them together. We build a kind of social infrastructure for the Tag des Guten Lebens. So It's like street representatives, it's street communities that meet regularly and see what they want to do during this day. We get the associations, the kindergartens, the carnival associations, the sport associations on board. So there's a lot of networking taking place during this, like about 1 year to then have everything ready for this day, because we're not going there and delivering some program, but we really work with the people in the neighborhood to develop the program. Then it happens, and from like 10, 11 in the morning, it's a bit of a process getting the cars out, but then we have free streets. So there's no cars running. There's cars still being parked, but also we have a lot of free spaces. So it's about like 700 parking spaces getting freed. And it's a big neighborhood get together. There's breakfast in the morning, people have coffee, people walk around, talk to their neighbors, play sports on the street. There's a lot of art, music, installations, discussions, cargo bike testing, test drives. It's very, very varied. We have about like 250 different activities that take course over the part of this day. And actually, if you later see videos or photos, even if you're the organizer, like years later, I've discovered new things. It was like, this was in this neighborhood in this year. Oh, I've not seen it. I've never heard of it. So there's lots of things, lots of facets happening during this day. We have about 100 to 100,000 participants during the day, which comes from people in the neighborhood that walk their dog and then start interacting, up to people coming from surrounding cities because they've heard that this is an interesting thing. One thing that happens when people go there, they're amazed and they're a bit overwhelmed by the amount of space that is there. Cologne is a medieval Roman city. It's quite dense. We have small streets which are full of parked cars, and it's dangerous, etc. And then when you go there, it's spacey, it's quiet, it's beautiful. You can connect to people on an eye level. We have the dogs and children in the morning that the parents are like, yes, you can now walk on the street. Like everything I told you the last 3 years, like don't go there, don't walk, don't run. It's now suspended for a day. You can go there and do it. And then children start like very, oh, can I really? Can I really? And then they take over the space and use it for the day. People are also impressed by the diversity of activities. It's really like a miracle box where you go around one corner and then there's like a side street and there might be a 9-year-old selling jokes to you. So it's completely, there's a complete random experience and things you don't expect and you don't really plan to happen. So what is the communication challenge that we have? Normally, if you have like a festival, you have a headliner, you have stages, you have a program, you have famous people that you can announce. You have a certain maybe community, like it's a hip hop festival, etc. So there's like established patterns of communication that you use. People know what this is. So there is no real pattern existing for what Tag des Guten Lebens is. It didn't exist before any kind of activity in this form. So we had to reinvent the whole thing. And really invent a communication strategy that fits for Tag des Guten Lebens. And one thing that develops over the year is what I would say contextual fitting. So the day has very different facets. And this allows to tell different stories to different communities and to different audiences without lying. So it's not like we're concealing or like purposely misleading people. But there are different communities and audiences caring about different things about the day. And when you go to a different community, they might talk about the same event in a very different way. One example, some people are enthusiastic about getting cars out. And they're annoyed by the noise, the pollution, the accidents, the use of space by cars. So for them, the Day of Good Life is a resistance against cars. Now this is one part, and this is not the majority of citizens in Germany feeling that way about cars. For others, it's very much about a community and connecting to their neighbors, caring for other people, caring for elder people, getting them on the street. So when you talk with them, it's a different story. Yeah, you might be listening about the different projects. So it a little bit depends also when you position the day, when you go somewhere, you might stress different aspects of this. For others, it's about expression of cultural identity, for example. So there might be Argentinians and they will dance tango, do a mate workshop, how to drink this like Argentinian drink. Other people might be dancers, artists, they might care about their city. So because we connect to these different communities, a lot of the communication work and the storytelling is done by others. So we do our Facebook event, for example, it doesn't run so well. Maybe it's like 3,000 people clicking yes to our Facebook event. But there's regularly like 40, 50 other different Facebook events that make a reference to the day. And that then you look inside and it's like 500 people and I don't know any of them because it might be the electronic music community and they're mobilizing their people because there's something happening around electronic music organized by them on this day. The second strategy is that we use emblematic, very specific stories. And it's very simple, symbolic stories that capture the spirit of the day and that allow people to understand it. So I already told you the story about the 9-year-old selling jokes, right? There's another similar story, which is the Cake for Promise team. The Cake for Promise team organizes neighbors and they bake cakes. So there's like a big buffet of cakes and they don't sell the cakes, but they trade them for promises. So people that pass through the street, they will put up a sign saying like, I will, like, I don't know, do my tax return on time. I will not cheat on my husband. I will clean up my room. I will be vegan for a year or something. And then they get a cake. So this is about alternative economies, like non-commercial exchange. Like if people are used to exchange things for money. So if you take that out of the equation, how can you exchange? You can exchange cake for promises. So people start thinking about what other things could be exchanged that go beyond money. We have, for example, this activity that took place in Deutz. It was an artist bringing 300 moving boxes. So people all over the day were constructing things with these boxes. And it symbolizes, okay, if you want to build something in the city, you have to coordinate. You have to talk to each other. You can't build a wall if one is putting the boxes and the other one is putting away. So through this very simple intervention, people really got into understand what city politics is about. There's the baker story. I think I've heard this a million times about, and it's told about different people, but I think it's a true story. I really don't know who experienced it. Which is an older neighbor that said, okay, I used to go buy bread, brötchen on Sunday morning in like 10 minutes. And now it regularly takes me to do that. Because if I have 500 meters to the bakery, I meet people. And these people, I know them from the Tagesguten Lebens, and they talk to me, they ask me questions, we discuss whatever, right? So my life has gotten much more richer because on a Sunday morning, even just buying bread is an experience. It makes my day rich and fulfilling, and it would not have happened without Tagesguten Lebens. We had one local artist that lived in a street that had a bit of a rough bar, and she was afraid at night of these people. So she was one of our street ambassadors, and she started going to this bar and asking like, maybe I can put up a poster. And they were among the first to donate money, for example. And to this day, she makes exhibitions in this bar, and the bar people come to their exhibitions and bring beer. So there's an interchange that has happened. There was like hostility and fear before, and now it's trust and collaboration. And I think it's important that these are simple stories. And And they're so specific that people understand that they're not supposed to do the same thing, but they can connect them to their own reality. Oh, a last story. We had one tattoo parlor that offered a free tattoo for people over 60 that want to have the neighborhood emblem tattooed on their arm. So there was one guy who did it, who was like a biker, very traditional conservative type of person, and he said like, yes, I want the local how's it in English, like a traditional like emblem of the city.
What you said, the emblem. It's fine.
Emblem, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
an
so
emblem.
too.
Yeah. So I'll have this tattooed, and then he got this tattoo, and it helps to show, okay, we really connect to people that love motorcycles and a certain style of living, and they love their neighborhood, and they participate even though it's a car-free Sunday. Another thing that we use in the storytelling are visual elements. They have kind of like autonomously developed. So one thing that's reappearing over and over again is stylized maps. And they have a very practical purpose, because if you want to tell people where it takes place and if they're part of the area, but they also have an activating, playful thing. So if you put up the and people, you see people being there, they start being like, ah, this is Fellorstrasse, right? This is the other street. Ah, this is the plaza. This is where we meet. This there, my baker is there. So they start connecting to it and start talking about where they live and where other people live. And we also do this more purposefully in the one-year process, that we have people standing on maps on the ground and people putting up dots on maps, etc. But we also use these maps in very, very different occasions, because there's some like abstract neutral thing that that symbolize the area and that also show the possibility. So you see there are like gaps in the map, which are the street, which is the free space that can be filled. So it's a bit like metaphorical, but I think people get it intuitively. We have scribbles. So this has come from different designers over the years, that they say, yeah, let's work with scribbles. And you see there's like felt pen markings. And I think it works because people understand it's not a fixed designed project, but it has a participatory nature. Like when you see it, you can like, oh yes, if I would have a pen right now, I could write Tagesguten Lebens like this. Like it really opens the possibility for people and helps them understand that this is a participatory thing, and that they can be a part of this. And of course, we work with the empty street photos because they're surprising. People have never seen their street without cars. We have many streets that are the first time car-free in 50 years, because normally cars change continuously, and if the street has not been remodeled, it has never been car-free. So we have people that have lived in the streets for 40 years and they've never seen it without cars, and this is the first time they see it without cars. So this moment is quite powerful, and we also use it in the communication before. Last thing in our storytelling is linguistic fine-tuning, which is inventing also even new words and being really careful which kind of language you use. So we have this term, it's called Gastgeberviertel, which is a host neighborhood. And we didn't use it in the beginning, and we always had struggle communicating what is the role of the people in the neighborhood, what is the role of us, what is the role of whomever. And Gastgeberviertel kind of really makes it clear, because people understand what it is to be a host. Like you make sure people have a good time, you set the place, you are responsible, and it's work for you, right? Being a host, hosting a party is work, and you need to clean up afterwards, and you need to make sure everybody is safe. But it's also a very interesting, it's a fulfilling experience to be a host. So this Gastgeberviertel, people really got it and said, like, do you want to be the host neighborhood? Do you want to host this? It means you have a responsibility, but it also means you have a great opportunity to present your neighborhood in a new way. And then people really understood this and said like, yeah, we want to do this. We want to host it. And then they take over the responsibility. It's also, I'm also always listening who says we do, and if you say like you should do it, we should do it, kind of who gets included linguistically and not at certain points. So we always try to be also inclusive in this and say like we need to create this project together, all these kind of things. Yeah, this year, to round up, obviously it was all different. We canceled everything in March. We stopped our planning, and then in April we canceled because it became obvious that 100,000 people on the street, encounter between different people, collaboration, joy, meeting each other will not be possible this year. At first we surrendered, but then we shifted and we started to look into different ways what could be done over the summer and what could still be possible under contact restrictions and with care. So we started, and Gabi had a key role also in this, to do street level manifestations. So we got more political. People demanded free, equitable, open streets, space for culture, space for children, space for politics. And in Germany, we're very law-oriented, and the law of assembly provides very strong protection for people that want to publicly assemble. So if you would say, I want to hold a political demonstration for loud music, I think we need space for loud music, you could put up speakers and make an incredible noise, and that would be like constitutionally protected. If you say, I want to make a manifestation for public nudity, you could walk around nude, even if that would be otherwise banned. So German assembly laws is very strong, and we kind of pushed it to the limits. So police, at sometimes they were like, are you sure you need like pink flamingos? And we also, on this one, we didn't push, but on other things we said like, yes, people want space for punk music. So we'll have punk music for 2 hours. This is what people really feel strongly about. And at the moment, with closings of cultural centers, etc., there's no space for punk music. So we want space for punk music, or there will be children playing. This is the political manifestation. There will also be people holding a presentation in the speech, but the main thing of the presentation will be children playing. And the police accepted it. And so we kind of turned it this year, and it became more of a local empowerment and taking agency kind of thing. So the story this year shifted, but we also build on, I think, on everything that has accumulated over the years and the histories. And so I think it was not the same thing in the last years. It was not so emotional. It was not so overwhelming. But right now, with the new contact restrictions, I think we're all very happy that we tried to preserve over some of the spaces that we could and help people make these experiences.